Hi, I'm Ben, welcome back to my channel. I'm going to Japan tomorrow, which feels very weird to say because it's been such a long time coming. We originally planned to do this trip in April 2020, and then COVID had other ideas. Thanks again, COVID. And then we just haven't been in a position to re-plan the trip, partly because Japan had travel restrictions for a lot longer than other parts of the world. But also, in the meantime, we've moved house and we've got married, and those are really big life changes and quite expensive things to go through. And so we haven't been able to fit in a trip this big because it is a really long way for us to go. But it is finally here and I'm so excited. I think I'm mainly excited for the food because I'm an absolute sushi fiend. I love it. But I also love udon and onigiri and yakitori. And so I'm planning just to eat everything. Will I eat everything? I'm not sure if I would go as far as having chicken sashimi, but never say never. We have sadly missed the cherry blossom season. That is definitely over now, which is a bit of a shame because it looks so beautiful. But we kind of made the conscious decision to skip this week of holidays that happens at the end of April in Japan called Golden Week, where pretty much every day is a holiday and lots of people take internal holidays in Japan. And what it means is that everything outside of Tokyo or outside of some of the main cities is a lot busier and hotels are a lot more expensive, and I think it can be harder to get bookings at certain places. So we decided to give that a miss and go at the start of May. Anyway, I'm just filming this in between my last bits of packing because I think it would be nice to vlog this holiday and take you along with me. I do want to get the balance right though, because as far as possible, I would prefer to be in the moment rather than filming the moment. Looking at these amazing things through my phone screen rather than just looking with my eyes would be a bit of a shame. But on the other hand, it will be a lovely video memento for me of such a special trip. The main quandary facing me at the moment is what I'm going to take to read. Japan obviously has a rich literary history and just a wonderful literary scene. And so it's a good opportunity to read some Japanese fiction, but also having such a long break because we're going for 3 weeks and we do have quite a few long stints of travel. So the plane ride is really long, but also we're taking a few Shinkansen trains across the country. It just means I'm going to have some good chunks of time to get deep into some stories that I've been meaning to read for quite a while. Problem I have is that I've not got a particularly big suitcase, but I have all of these books as potential contenders and they're not all going to fit, so I need to cut them down. So maybe I'll just run through them now and it will help me make some decisions about what goes in and what gets left behind. So first, I've got some proofs that I've been sent by publishers that I've been holding back specifically with this trip in mind, and so it would be great to finally get to them. The first one is Mongrel by Hanako Footman, which is published by Footnote Press. It did come out back in February, but I've been feeling like it is perfect for this holiday. This one is actually definitely coming with me because I've already started it. I thought it'd be good to get into the groove with it before we set off so that I'm not trying to decide if I like the voice or if I'm in the mood for it. I can just get rolling with the story. And the good news is, so far, loving it. It's really nicely written. Footman is a British-Japanese author, and this takes place across both the UK and Japan because it tells the stories of 3 women and their intertwining narratives. And I quite like that it bridges the 2 countries. It feels like a really appropriate first read for me as I make my way from here to there. So yeah, excited to crack on with this one on the plane tomorrow. Then I'm considering taking Goodnight Tokyo by Atsuhiro Yoshida. This is translated by Hayden Trowell. I think this is almost a bit of a short story-ish collection, but the stories are all the stories of people that get in the back of this guy's taxi. Just sounds fun. The cover's giving nighttime in Tokyo, so I'll try and read this when I'm there. And it's only 175 pages and the font's quite big, so I think I'll fly through this one. It sounds really good. The other proof is maybe a little less geographically appropriate because it doesn't take place in Japan at all. It takes place in somewhere completely different, and that is The Road to the Country by Chigozie Obioma. I really want to read this, but I don't know if this holiday will be the time. It also sounds quite heavy, not just physically. I think it's about war. But it does say on the back that it's a profoundly humane epic love story. Oh no, that was praise for an orchestra of minorities. It doesn't really say what this is about. Yes, war. We'll see. I definitely want to read this one soon. Whether it will come on this holiday, I'm not sure. Another English language novel that I'm thinking about taking is Cold Enough for Snow by Jessica Au. This is very short, and I think it's about a mother and daughter. Yes, it's about a mother and daughter travelling from abroad to meet in Tokyo. Oh, that's another one that would nicely bridge the old trip. My problem with this though is that it's a Fitzcarraldo, and Fitzcarraldos notoriously scuff, and so I'm a little bit scared to take this away and put it in a bag and lug it around for 3 weeks because it is going to come back looking nothing like this. It might end up looking like it's a non-fiction, the amount of white that'll end up on it. Then I've got a bunch of short little sharp Japanese novels that I'm considering taking. I've got All the Lovers in the Night by Mieko Kawakami. This is translated by Sam Bett and David Boyd. I really enjoyed Heaven. I feel like I might enjoy this even more. My only drawback with this is that it's signed. Do I really want to ruin a really nice signed copy that I received for my birthday? I am not too sure. So maybe that puts it at the lower end of the priority list. Then I've got a Murakami, and I did feel like maybe I should take a Murakami with me. I've only read Norwegian Wood. The problem is a lot of his other ones are just absolutely massive, and so I'd rather take a few other books than one big fat Murakami. So I've not gone for Haruki. I've gone for a different Murakami, and that's Ryu Murakami and In the Miso Soup. This is translated by Ralph McCarthy. I've heard this is unhinged. It's about a man who takes an American tourist around seedy parts of Tokyo. I'm so in for this. I see lots of comparisons to American Psycho, and it just sounds like a lot of fun, and I'm ready to be disturbed. Speaking of weird, I'm also potentially going to take Hiromi Kawakami's Strange Weather in Tokyo. This is translated by Allison, Markin, Powell. It's another short little read that's set in Tokyo, and I think this is magical realism, so it is appropriate for my May Goodread Challenge prompt, which is magical realism. I don't know too much more about this one though, and I'm kind of intrigued to just leave it at that and find out as I read it. Also thinking about Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi, which is translated by David Boyd and Lucy North. I am mostly interested in this, and I think I even went out and bought it because Jen Campbell was raving about how much she liked it. This is about a woman who pretends to be pregnant in order to get out of doing stuff at work. And I think offices are just rife for comedy. So I think this is going to be like darkly comic and weird and funny, and maybe the nice little reminder of what I'm missing back in the UK in the office while I'm away. The last shorty that's in contention is Strangers by Taiichi Yamada, which is translated by Wayne P. Lammers. And the reason I picked this one up is because it inspired All of Us Strangers. The movie, I think, is quite different from the book. The movie's quite ambiguous about what's going on, and this is more of an explicit ghost story. But Jennifer Loves Books told me this was a 5-star read for her, and so it sounds like it could be a winner. I do also very much love this cover because I'm mad for green. I'm a green machine. But maybe that's a bad reason to take a book on holiday with you because you like the cover. I've got 2 other chunkier books that I'm thinking about. One of them is Brotherless Nights, that I can get through my Women's Prize reading. I am also going to take River East, River West, but I've got the audiobook for that, and I'm going to potentially listen to that at some point throughout the holiday. This is the last one that I'm going to read physically. I'm very excited to read this. I've heard just amazing things. I think it's going to absolutely grip me. And so even though it's not a Japanese themed or Japanese set book, I think I really want to take it with me. And then the other thing that I was thinking about was I am not a very good flyer, and so it's probably good to have something quite easy to read that's distracting when I'm on the plane. And maybe this is going to be quite a good one for when I'm a lot more tired at the end of the holiday and I'm on the plane back. But I thought I needed a thriller in the mix, and so I did post that stack without this last book on Instagram the other day, and lots of people suggested that this would be a really good thriller to take along with me. And so I got a copy of The Devotion of Suspect X by Kaigo Higashino. Who is this translated by? Translated by Alexander O. Smith with Ely J. Alexander. A first name Alexander and a last name Alexander. This is like 450 pages, but the font is absolutely massive in there, so this is going to read very quickly. This is supposed to be very gripping and wrong foots you quite a lot. It's actually not a who done it, it's a why done it, because you know from the very start who has committed the murder that happens. So I'm really intrigued by this one. I really like a good thriller. I do get very irritated by a bad thriller. So I'm hopeful that this will fall on the right side of that line. Oh, I've just had to change position because my old legs are not really liking sitting cross-legged for so long. So anyway, let's decide what am I going to take. I think the definites are Mongrel, that's definitely coming. Brotherless Night is the other long literary book that I really want to take with me. And then I do want to prioritise mostly Japanese books. So I think The Rave of the Country is probably out for now. Clearly this side is out and this side is in. I've got 2 that I'm going to leave behind. I'm going to leave Cold Enough for Snow just because of the scuffing risk. I'm sorry, Fitzcarraldo, please forgive me. And I'm going to leave All the Lovers in the Night because it's signed and I want to keep it in nice condition. Of the rest then, I am definitely in for some miso soup and definitely in for some late night taxi rides. Those feel like they're going to capture Tokyo at night. And maybe 2 of these 3 will come with me. I've had Strange Weather in Tokyo for so long. I think it might be the book out of all of these that I've owned the longest. So let's knock that one off the TBR, and that's going to come with me. And I am really intrigued by Diary of a Void, so I'm going to bring that too. I think I will read Strangers anyway at some point because I've seen the film and I liked the film and I want to see how the adaptation was compared to the book. So I'm going to pick that up another time. And then, assuming I can fit it in, I'm going to bring The Devotion of Suspect X because it will be good to have something easier to read, something a bit more like pacey and plot driven in case I need that while I'm away. So that's my stack. It's still quite big. We'll see if it can fit in the suitcase. Right, well, it's day 3 in Tokyo, and I say day 3, but it doesn't really feel that long because day 1 was a little bit of a write-off with all the jet lag. We kind of hit a wall while we were waiting to check into our hotel, and then by the time we checked in at 3 p.m. here, we just absolutely crashed and fell asleep for 3 hours. But I think we're kind of on a level now. Yesterday was a really packed day. We did loads of really fun stuff, and we've had so much amazing food already. We had some conveyor belt sushi, which was really fresh and delicious. We had some ramen that we ordered from a vending machine, and you put your money in and you get your ticket out and you give it to the person behind the counter and they serve you up some fresh ramen. That was really good. And even the food from the convenience stores is amazing. So there's 3 that seem to be everywhere: Family Mart, Lawson, and 7-Eleven. And they just have such a crazy big selection of food. It's so different from back home. But I think the Konbini food has a good reputation for a reason. My favourite so far has been the Family Mart, and we've done this thing that I heard about online where you buy an egg salad sandwich and some fried chicken, and you put the fried chicken inside the egg salad sandwich. It's called Family Reunion. That was very delicious. But the onigiri is great. Some chicken on a stick. Yeah, there's loads to choose from and loads more that I want to try. Yesterday we went to a Nintendo shop, which was this entire floor of a department store. That was really cool. There was also a Pokemon Center attached there, and it just had loads of great models of Nintendo characters and Pokemon characters. I got myself a little plushie. I went for a Charizard. I did want a Charmander because Charmander was always my favourite as a kid, but they didn't have any, so I settled for Charizard. And then last night we went to a really snazzy cinema to watch Godzilla Minus One, thankfully subbed in English, and it was really, really good. The cinema was amazing. The chairs were extremely comfortable. They reclined and they were leather. And apparently it's got the best sound in all of Japan. It was supervised by Ryuichi Sakamoto, which is awesome. And yesterday I went to a bookshop, which was really great. It was called Kinokuniya, and someone had recommended this to me in my Instagram comments, and it turned out it was right by where we're staying. So we went over there yesterday. We actually turned up just before it opened, so we looked like super fans waiting to get in. And we kind of had a wander around, and I was like, oh, this is not that big. And I'd seen online that it had a good English selection, but there weren't any English books, until I realised that we were just on the ground floor, which had a few Japanese new releases. But it turned out the bookshop was the entire building. And so there were I can't even remember how many floors. We only went up to, I think, the 9th floor. But yeah, it was this enormous building and it was chock-a-block full of books. I got a few of the English language ones because they had a surprisingly good selection. Let me just show you. So I got a copy of Tokyo Ueno Station by Yumiri. This is the US edition. So in the UK, this is published by Tilted Axis Press. But I really like this cover. I think it's really cool. And then another US edition of something that I got with this special 3-part box set of Haruki Murakami's IQ84. And I haven't always been interested in this, but I keep hearing good things about it. And so I thought this was a nice way to break it down and not be such a mammoth single volume title. So yeah, this is pretty great. In terms of what I'm reading, I'm still reading Mongrel by Hanako Footman. I'm about halfway through now, and the writing is just very, very good. It's amazing that this is a debut. It's so assured and it makes the story feel very important. You feel like you're reading all these very pivotal moments in characters' lives. I can't really say too much more about the plot without spoiling anything, but I've definitely been emotionally impacted by what I've read. Really, really good so far. We are leaving Tokyo tomorrow to head to Kyoto, so it's going to be my first Shinkansen experience, hoping that I will get through a lot more of this book. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it tomorrow, and then I'll let you know what I thought of it overall. But yeah, it's been a great trip so far. I will take some more snaps as I'm going around, and then I'll catch up again with you in a couple of days.
actually. Would you like to have a go?
Right, it's been a little while since I spoke to you, so let's catch up. We've actually been in Kyoto for about a week, which is Japan's old capital before Tokyo became the capital. And it's a really beautiful city. There's lovely riverside walks and things like that. We've been staying in this extremely lovely and, to be honest, outrageously good value hotel, which has been a nice short walk into town. But we've also been using Kyoto as a bit of a base to visit other places in the area. So we spent a day going to Osaka, which was really good fun. It was a great city. Dotonbori Street is this sort of famous street with lots and lots of street food vendors and lots of big models on the walls of the street. It's a bit of a mixture between like Times Square and then the Tokyo red light district area. And while we were there, we got some local Osaka delicacies, which include takoyaki, which are the small octopus balls, which they grill in the special griddle pans and they flip them. Those were extremely hot but very tasty, as well as okonomiyaki, which is a famous cabbage pancake which gets covered in special okonomi sauce, as well as some Kewpie mayo. That was very delicious and it's griddled right in front of you. And then yesterday we went to a city called Nara, which was also previously the capital of Japan. I think there was a time when it used to move around to different prefectures. And what's lovely about Nara is that it's a very small city, it's very low rise, it's got lots of green space, and what it's known for is that anywhere there is green space, there are lots of deer, and the deer are very friendly to people. Lots of people sell rice crackers that you can feed to the deer, so they've learned to bow to you. So if you bow to the deer, they will bow back and ask you basically to give them a rice cracker. That was lots of fun. I felt like a Disney character, and if you are in the area, I would definitely recommend it. That was really cool. We have been doing loads of stuff in Kyoto as well. I think the highlight is probably when we did this riverboat cruise down the Hozu River. It was in this big wooden boat. There were like 16 of us in there, and we were pushed along by a guy with a big bamboo pole. And it was this interesting mixture of very serene, peaceful, slowly trickling waters, and then sections that were like whitewater rapids. And we did get a little bit wet, but it was lots of fun. Really enjoyed it. And then when we landed, that was right near some really famous bamboo forests, which we had a walk around. And it was very crowded. There are a lot of tourists here, but it was just really stunning, really beautiful, and absolutely loved it. The other highlight was the Nishiki market, which we went to the other day for lunch, and we kind of wandered around, and it's this mixture of food that you can eat right there and then, and food that you can take away and cook at home or bring back with you. We focused on eating right then and there, but interestingly, walking and eating is not really a thing in Japan. It's quite impolite to do. So you kind of buy this food and you stand in the shop, or you stand just outside and you nibble away at it, and then you move on to the next place. My favorite was this piece of sushi that we had that basically looked like the sushi emoji. I think I found the the sushi that the emoji is based on, and it was absolutely delicious. Really, really loved it. And food has continued to be a bit of a highlight. It's been extremely delicious. The standard is just so high. Almost every meal we have, we really enjoy. My favourite though, which has surprised me because I'm not a huge ramen fan, but my favourite was this ramen shop we went to called Iniyoshi, and I had this sort of clear white miso broth with some Wagyu beef, and it was just outstandingly delicious. Really loved it. In fact, Matt loved it so much that he bought a t-shirt from there, so that's how good it was. A quick reading update. I was going to do reviews in this vlog, but I think I will save my reviews for a wrap up so that I can give a little bit more thought to what I want to say and how I feel about these books. But I finished Mongrel by Hanako Footman. This is a really accomplished debut. I really enjoyed it. There were a few bits that didn't quite work for me, but overall the writing is beautiful. The plot is quite intricate in how the characters' stories come together, and it was very emotionally effective. It was a just really cracking read, and I would recommend it to anyone who likes these sort of big intergenerational family stories. Then I moved on to Diary of a Void by Emi Yagi. This is the one about the woman who pretends to be pregnant in order to get out of being treated a bit like a second-class citizen at work and having all these menial obligations that everyone just expects her to do. I thought this was interesting and thought-provoking and a bit of fun. It's like written in this irreverent but kind of detached tone that I think is quite common in Japanese literature. It didn't blow my mind though. There wasn't a massive plot to get your teeth into, but I liked the conceit of it and the structure of it, and it's a very quick read, so definitely worth a read if that is a concept that appeals to you. I thought it was good, not mind-blowing. And then what I've moved on to is one that I didn't actually feature as a book that I was planning to bring, but it's one that someone on Instagram recommended to me, so I got it on my Kindle, and that is Confessions by Kanae Minato. This is a bit of a thriller. I think it's been turned into a film as well, but it's about a woman whose child has been murdered by two people in her class. She's a teacher, and she gets her revenge. And I read the first chapter, and I thought that it felt like a short story, like there was a bit of a zinger at the end, and the story seemed to be wrapped up. There was a denouement of what had happened, and I wasn't really sure how it was going to carry on. It did make me think maybe this is a short story collection of different confessions, but it does continue after, because that is only about 20% of the story. And what we end up getting is perspectives from different characters, both in terms of reframing what happened a little bit, but also what occurred after this first chapter where the teacher sort of revealed her knowledge of the murder. I'm really enjoying it. I'm about 50-60% of the way through. I'm hoping to finish it today because I've got another Shinkansen ride. We're heading to Hiroshima, and then we've got another train and a ferry over to Miyajima Island. It's a ryokan experience, which is a specific type of hotel, and I think there's like certain things we have to do while we're there, and they serve fancy food directly to your room, so that'll be really interesting. I'm a little bit anxious about it, but it would be fun to experience something very different to what I'm used to. Probably not going to do another update until I get home now. Obviously there'll be loads of little clips that I'll capture from the rest of the trip, but I will see you back in the UK. the holiday is over. It was actually over about 2 weeks ago. I've just taken my sweet time in recording this final little wrap up, which is quite good because I've readjusted. My jet lag is over and done with. Although in some ways the jet lag kind of fixed my body clock because my sleep patterns were really messed up before I went away and they couldn't really get much worse. So now I'm back on like normal human sleeping patterns, which is great. Yeah, in terms of the rest of our trip, I think I last spoke to you when I was in Kyoto, and from there we went down to Miyajima Island, which is this little island off the coast of Hiroshima. And it was just really stunning, beautiful countryside and scenery, lots of deer around, and a really interesting sleeping experience, sleeping in a ryokan on the floor on a little futon. It also had an onsen, which was another interesting experience. I've never been in a situation like that before, but it was interesting. I'm glad I did it. It was very relaxing. Kind of glad we only stayed there for one night though, and after that we moved on to Hiroshima, where we were for a couple of nights. That was somewhere that I didn't have much expectation of, but actually really loved. It had some very emotional highs, like when we went to see a baseball game, the Hiroshima Carps were playing, and it was just this really, really cool experience. They have some of the most enthusiastic baseball fans in all of Japan, and we saw them win, which was awesome. And also some emotional lows where we went to the Hiroshima Peace Museum, which was just absolutely devastating and unfathomable, and a very surreal experience to see and hear what happened directly from some of the people who experienced it. Yeah, a very sobering place to spend some time. We went at like 8 o'clock in the morning, and then for the rest of the day we were just blank-faced and feeling pretty affected by it. And then we went back to Tokyo, and we were planning to stay in Ginza, but in Hiroshima we had quite a small hotel room and it wasn't a very pleasant experience. We couldn't really unpack, and we were like on top of each other a little bit. I also didn't love the hotel room because it was on the 22nd floor, and I was a little bit unnerved by the idea that we might experience an earthquake while we were there. But yeah, the Tokyo hotel we booked was going to be even smaller than that one. So we decided to change our plans a bit. We cancelled that hotel, moved to a different, bigger one a little bit further out in Osaka. And that was really awesome. The hotel we stayed at was like also a cafe and an art museum, and it was very, very cool. Really enjoyed that. And we did some really amazing stuff. We went to the Team Lab's Brotherless museum, which is like this interactive, light-based art gallery thing. If you've watched the clips until now, you'll know exactly which bit I mean. We went canoeing down the Sumida River all the way to the Sky Tree. That was a really great experience. We also went to the Pokemon Cafe, which we hadn't booked, but I heard that if you look like the day before, there's lots of cancellations that happen and you can get a spot. And we went, and it was very expensive, and the food, I'll be honest, wasn't great, especially compared to everything else we ate in Japan. But the experience was so odd and surreal. There was like a giant Pikachu that turned up, and we had to like sing "If You're Happy and You Know It, Clap Your Hands," but it was in Japanese, and all of the food was styled to look like Pokemon. So I was like eating Pikachu's face and body. Very strange, very fun. And I would definitely recommend it just as an experience. But overall, just an amazing, amazing trip. Maybe one of the best holidays I've ever been on. And I would highly recommend going and visiting if you're able to, because I loved it and I would love to go back. I don't know if that will ever happen though. While I was back in Tokyo, I had to do some bookish stuff, and I wanted to go back to Kinokuniya because I'd eyed up one of their tote bags and I wanted to go back and get it. And I think it's going to be like my new favorite tote bag ever. It's this really beautiful design, but it's also very sturdy, which I think is quite reassuring, and you're not going to like knock your stuff about while it's in there. And when I went back, they had this new line of tote bags, and I decided to get this little tiny one as well. And it's just so well designed because it's got a pocket inside for your books, but also one for your water bottle. And I'm always worried, oh no, that's not the water bottle one, that's the water bottle one on the side there. I'm always worried about my water bottle damaging my books or getting them wet, so it's nice to have it all separated out in there. So that is just cute AF. And then where we were staying in Osaka, it turned out that round the corner from our hotel was a place called Infinity Books, which is apparently one of the best places for English language bookshops in the whole of Tokyo, and therefore probably in the whole of Japan. A complete coincidence. I didn't engineer this, I swear. But I did go and have a look around, and I got a copy of Annie Proulx's The Shipping News, which is good to add to my collection of Pulitzer Prize winners. So maybe one day I'll do a little bit of a reading project to work through all of these. And then finally, in terms of what I read, I think I was reading Confessions the last time I spoke to you. Since then, I finished that. I also read In the Miso Soup by Romy Murakami, and I read Strange Weather in Tokyo by Hiromi Kawakami. I have reviewed both of these and all the other ones that I've talked about in my May wrap-up, because I'm filming this after I've already done that wrap-up. And if you want to see what I thought of all those books, then I will link to that video in the description. Before I came home, I also made a start on Goodnight Tokyo by Atsuhiro Yoshida, which is coming out in July. But I'll be honest, a few days before we were due to fly, there was that news of the crazy turbulence in which loads of people were injured and hospitalised, and one man died, and it really played on my mind as someone who's not a very good flyer. And so I just struggled to concentrate. Reading wasn't the distraction that was working for me. And so I read a couple of chapters of this, but didn't carry on. And then again, on the plane, I thought a thriller might help. And so I started on The Devotion of Suspect X. And I got about 50 pages into this because it is quite a quick read. But again, I couldn't focus. So both of those I have paused for now. Maybe I will come back to them soon, but I've got a TBR as long as my arm and lots of books that I really need to get through in the near future. So probably not in the next few months, but I'll probably just start them again if I come back to them. So it brings me great sadness to say that that is a wrap on my Japan holiday vlog. I hope you've enjoyed coming along for the ride. I really enjoyed it, and it's lovely to have a little memento like this of my holiday. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed this video, if there's anything that you saw throughout that you've been to and experienced yourself, or if you'd be really excited to go and do if you ever visit Japan. And as ever, if you like this video, please do hit the like button, and if you want to see more content from me, then hit subscribe, and there'll be a new video about once a week. But until next time, toodles.